My name is Aditya Umesh, and I'm 21 years old, and I'm currently a business administration student at the University of Oregon. After I graduate, I'm hoping to work in sales and do something with that.
Hi, I'm Spencer Todd. I'm a senior at the University of Oregon. I am studying psychology, and I would like to be a speech therapist, and I'm 22 years old.
My name is Joe Chalk. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a pre-med student at University of Oregon, and I'm part of Students Against Sarcoma.
So Students Against Sarcoma started December of 2017 after I was diagnosed with sarcoma. On September 26, 2017, the day after my birthday, I was diagnosed with specifically rhabdomyosarcoma. The day I was diagnosed, I was given a large book with a ton of resources that were supposed to help everyone with sarcoma. However, I spent hours kind of searching through it, looking for resources and looking for things for young adults that had sarcoma, and I couldn't find it. It just wasn't out there because not that many people knew that sarcoma was an issue. Currently, it affects 1% of all people that have cancer, which is such a small amount that people can't profit off of it. And that makes it just unheard of. And so that's what we wanted to change, and that's why I wanted to start Students Against Sarcoma, to help those people who feel that way. After I realized that there was a need for this kind of thing, I needed support in order to make it happen. At the time, I was still going through chemo and radiation and was still doing treatment, but I still wanted to help my community and help the people that were affected with what I was affected with. And so what I did is I reached out to a lot of my friends and saw if they would be able to help me out and help me start the organization, which is when Spencer was gracious enough to help me out and help me start the organization, and has been helping me since then.
So my sophomore year of college in 2017, Aditya reached out to me and told me that he had sarcoma cancer, he's going through treatment, had to drop out of school, and he wanted to do something about it because he realized how expensive it was and the lack of information about sarcoma in general. And so I was fully on board to help start up a charity or somehow just help, because I've had a story with cancer as well. When I was in the 8th grade, one of my best friend's mothers passed away from breast cancer. And that was the first time somebody that was just bigger than life died. And that was the first time in my life that I lost somebody so important to me. And then when I was a junior in high school, when I was 16, I lost my father to a 5-year battle with cancer as well. And so ever since then, those two deaths, I've always just had them on my shoulders. Whenever I do anything, I think of her, I think of my father, and I wanted to help. And so when Aditya gave me this opportunity, and this is something that I could do to, in honor of them, help other people and help sarcoma.
So my experience with sarcoma was through my dad. When I was a freshman in college, he was diagnosed with a synovial sarcoma, and it was shocking for me. I dropped out of school my winter term of freshman year, right after I learned of his cancer, to spend time with him, and moved to Boston with him where he was getting treatment. The reason he went to Boston was because, due to the rarity of his cancer and of synovial sarcomas, they couldn't treat him in Portland where he's from. It was too complicated and not well known about. So that's why he lifted up, went to a new city completely to fight for his life. Tragically, my dad passed away to sarcoma. And in the grieving process, I was motivated to want to help people. I came back to school after taking the term off and decided to completely change my major and be a pre-med so I can help people in the future. So last summer, I was studying abroad in Spain, and I was sitting in a classroom full of people, and I saw the last thing that I would expect, which was some guy in my class that I had never met before wearing a Students Against Sarcoma shirt. The guy is obviously Spencer. So I approached him, asked him about the shirt, and he told me about the organization, and I thought it was just the best thing in the world, and I instantly wanted to be involved. I know firsthand how important raising awareness for sarcoma is, and I thought it was just so awesome that they would be supporting such a rare cancer.
The main objective with why I had initially started it is essentially I wanted people to know about what sarcoma is. After I was diagnosed, I would talk to people about it, and most, if not everyone that I talked to, had no clue what sarcoma even was and had never heard of it before. They didn't know it was a form of cancer. They didn't know who it affected. And that was a huge issue to me, as this is something that had personally affected me. After I was diagnosed, I realized that there was a strong need for financial support. Insurance only covers so much, and there's so much else that goes into it. For example, my treatment and everything happened at UCSF, and I live in Fremont, California, which is about a 2-hour drive with traffic. And so I was driving there and back every day, gas and toll and everything adds up. And that's not including things like Neulasta, which is an injection that you had to take once a month, and that costs insane amounts of money out of pocket. And so all of those things really do add up. And people with sarcoma aren't given the same types of insurance benefits and things like that. Again, because nobody knows about it and because it's not in a national spotlight. After I was diagnosed, I also had to take some time off of school. I spent some time at home doing my treatment. I spent about 6 months doing chemotherapy and radiation. Honestly, it was one of the biggest struggles of my life, and that's when I realized that this is something that is important and this is a cause that needs to be heard. What I want to do now is make everybody aware of what sarcoma is and make them kind of want to change the fact that nobody knows about it and want to educate people about it. Our biggest achievement to date is helping out Cam, who was one of Spencer's friends who was diagnosed with sarcoma as well. And so after we heard that he was diagnosed, we knew that this was the perfect opportunity for us to help out another student that was in need. We immediately had reached out to him and ran a fundraiser for him and raised over $7,000 to help him with his treatment and his expenses as he went through sarcoma. And now Cam is doing well and has finished his treatment, and we hope to help others as well.
Goals for this organization are to help families and students that are experiencing sarcoma. It is a very, very hard process fighting any cancer, and obviously sarcoma is less known about, but it is just as difficult to fight as any other cancer. And so people that are going through it need as much support and love as they can get, and